This episode of the Profit Express is brought to you by Corbett Public Relations, promoting and protecting businesses and brands for over 30 years. Please visit them at corbettpr.com. That's CORBETTPR.com. Well, hello and welcome to the Profit Express. I am Tim Healy, and I'm inviting you to join me each and every week so together we can win the battle for business, and we do it right here. And of course, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Profit Express, Twitter at Profit_Express, and of course, the Profit Express page on Facebook. Now, I am very, very excited about today's show, because what we're going to be talking about is a topic that I know is a huge challenge for small business owners everywhere. And that is the topic of their brand, of your brand, and how to effectively build that brand. And we can't really, in this day and age, with few rare exceptions, build an effective, valuable brand without a rock-solid social media presence and strategy. Now, how do we do it? That is the question. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, we're working tirelessly to promote our brand. And what we really want is to be able to create a valuable brand, a brand that engages our prospects, a brand that engages our clients in a way that naturally and organically wants them to buy our products and services. But it's no longer about just promoting products and services and giveaways and promotions and sales. It's really about letting them know who you are, telling the story, being transparent, being authentic. But a lot of that's not always very easy. And I'll just speak for myself. I've had a slow evolution to embrace a lot of this. But you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from an expert. And that's why I'm super excited to have back on the show somebody who I've been following, who I'm a fan of personally and professionally. She's Hilary Topper of HJMT Public Relations. And she's also a blogger. She's got 2 blogs, okay, New York Lifestyle and a Triathlete's Diary. And she's also a podcaster as well. And she is, from my perspective, somebody who embraces what it is to be a brand in 2021. And I think she's done a phenomenal job. So we're going to talk about branding, the social media platform, if you will, strategy, if you will, in particular Instagram, because she's doing an amazing job on Instagram. I'm super jealous of how she's doing it. So it's a pleasure to have back on the show the one and the only Hilary Topper.
Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate you having me back.
Well, of course. I mean, listen, as I said, the challenges to building a relevant, valuable brand for small business owners is something that the overwhelming majority face. And, when we all first started learning about social media, it was about, okay, what is a post? What's relevant? How often do I do it? What hashtags? What? Okay. It's really evolved to be so much more. And it's for me, I'll speak for me, it's intimidating. It's not easy. I don't know how you make it look so easy and how you're so good at it, honestly. And also, I think I just forgot, Hilary, in your intro, also an author, a 2-time author. Your book, I have to go down memory lane, your first book, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Social Media But Were Afraid to Ask, right? Did I get the title right? Okay. Yeah. That was the first book I ever read on social media, by the way.
Wow.
First book. That I think you were referencing MySpace. That's how far back that one goes, right?
And Friend Feed, I think.
But then more recently, your most recent book, which was in 2020, which I even have a copy right here, Branding in a Digital World, which is a great book. And actually also, you had an amazing book signing at the book review in Huntington for the local folks here in New York, and that was just before COVID broke. That was one of my last kind of networking social events, and fortunately, I got to spend some time with you there.
Yeah, that was a great event. It really was. And thank you for contributing to the book as well. You have a little blurb that's insightful in the book.
I do. Where is it? I don't want to just shamelessly, promote myself. I'll have to look up the page and give a reference to it. So here we are. I've been following you for a long time. You and I have had bunches of conversations as, small business owners ourselves. And you really, in particular with Instagram, because that was the platform that I joined most recently. I'm very familiar with LinkedIn, with Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I still can't figure it out. I don't know what's going on with Twitter personally. And then Instagram. And I look at what you do on Instagram, and it is amazing. It really is. But before we get into some of the specifics on what you're doing with Instagram, I would love to kind of begin by you sharing what is your brand, Hilary Topper, HJMT. Describe the brand to us.
So my brand is me, really. I mean, it's just pieces of me through what I do. I'm a triathlete, so that's part of my brand. I love to travel. I like to hear music. I like to, to have adventures and stuff like that. So this is all part of my brand.
Right.
And that's the thing. The thing of it is what you alluded to earlier about 2021 is that people need to connect with you. And the only way they're going to connect with you is through you personally. A lot of business owners, they go in the back. They don't like to, be in the front. So they let their PR person do that. And you're not getting a sense of who that business owner is. You want to get to know that person and feel connected with them so that you'll do business with them, because you do business with people you like.
It says, all right, so that's the age-old adage, we do business with people we know, like, and trust, all right? Mm-hmm. We've all heard that. Mm-hmm. And I think that what has hurt a lot of business owners, even though social media is certainly nothing new, and even Instagram has been around for, I think, about 10 years now. It's been a while. And we're not even going to go down TikTok lane. Forget that. But
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, okay, we're going to have to talk about it. I'm not present. But anyhow, but I just think that, if you think of the typical small business, because you service the small business community, as do I, okay, we all know that adage. Again, doing business with people you know, like, and trust. But I think if I can speak for small business owners and speak for myself, I think the wizard behind the curtain that is social media has intimidated us a lot, has kind of put us, maybe we're kind of, frozen in our tracks, doing video. Writing a blog is one thing. It takes time. Okay, that's one thing. But then, podcasting like we're doing now, or doing video, you do a ton of video. It's still intimidating for people. It's still intimidating. So then it's all about me, you're saying. You sort of say, my brand is about me, and, you're a triathlete, you like travel, you like, the lifestyle. So then if you have a typical small business owner, right? Maybe he owns a plumbing supply company, right? Maybe not, you might not think it's a sexy kind of business. No offense to the people in the plumbing supply business. Or maybe you're an attorney. Maybe you're an accountant. Again, not particularly sexy kind of businesses. I can imagine a lot of them saying, I can't do what she's doing. So how do you combat that? How do you get them to embrace?
So there's certain people that do and certain people that don't. I'll give you an example. So there's an attorney that I work with. I work with the Russo Law Group. Mm-hmm. And Deanna Ebley, she is the wife of an Ironman, and she goes to all these Ironman trainings and all of these Ironman events with her husband.
Right.
And he's seen people, really getting injured, and some people unfortunately dying at these events. So what she's done is she's trying to build herself up as an expert in estate planning for triathletes and runners. So that's kind of interesting, right? It kind of gives it like a different twist. What's going to make you stand out among your competition? And that's what the book, Branding in a Digital World, is about. It's taking you, thank you. Because it's this way, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get there we go. There we go.
Anyway, it's taking your brand, your personal brand, something that you love and that you're passionate about, and turning that into, your actual brand. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So you work with, it was the Russo Law Group, you said? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the attorneys, Deanne, I think you mentioned. So she's not a triathlete herself, but her husband is. And obviously, so she's supporting her husband. She's at the events, so on and so forth. So she knows the community. She knows what it's about, the sacrifice. And unfortunately, there is obviously a component where people could, God forbid, get hurt or killed. So she sees that as an opportunity, and even though she's not an athlete herself, she has certain credibility, and so she, right?
She connects with people in that space, and that's how she's been approaching this. So it's finding a passion that you love. For example, there may be an attorney out there or an accountant out there who loves to play golf. I mean, you put your guard down when you're playing golf. You have fun, you let loose. You're there on the golf course for 6 hours, maybe more, less, maybe
right,
more for some.
right.
And you have a significant amount of time to really bond with people, So you could position yourself as the legal golfer or whatever. I mean, you could do so many different things, and it just really depends on what you love.
So I almost, as I'm hearing this again, almost everybody's got some passion, some hobby that they like. Okay, and it's almost not being shy about it and realizing, again, as small business owners, because again, the buyer persona, which you and I have spoken about, which is like your kind of target audience, if you will, in a lot of these communities, in cycling and running, triathlons, golf, etc., they could be a valuable, affluent buyer persona, customer profile that you certainly would want to connect with. And then so, all right, so now here you are. Take me back to when you decided, because you didn't grow up being a triathlete, right?
No, I grew up being a couch potato. Cutting class, cutting gym, almost failing gym. I barely graduated. No, I graduated from high school, but...
Wait, did you actually almost fail gym?
I almost failed gym because I didn't want to show up.
Why?
Yeah, I just hated it. I was always picked last. I was one of those, like, okay, Mary Jane, you go on team A, John, you go on team B, and by the time I get there, it's like, which team am I going to end up on, right? So.
Oh, so you were in the dreaded getting picked last position.
Oh, yeah. And also there was, we used to have to run track. So what I would do is I would sneak around to the back, right? Like, and just hide out until everybody was finished and then come in.
But at least you
needed any kind of sports, any kind of exercise. I did nothing.
Wow.
And then I was about 48, and I said, you know what? I'm getting fat, I'm getting old, and I need to do something with my life. So I started running.
So you had an epiphany.
I did.
See, I didn't.
I saw all of these people running on the Wantua Expressway.
Right.
I was like, oh, I want to do that. That looks so good. It looks so fun.
Right. And that, all right, so you're 49. You figure, all right, I'm not in great shape here. I got to do something. And you saw people out in the Wantua Parkway, and that kind of started things for you.
Exactly.
Well, I have to give you some credit for being so creative, figuring ways to get out of gym class. So you've been an athlete for a number of years. Now you also have one of your blogs. You have two blogs. One of them is a Triathlete's Diary, and you've been writing that for how long now?
I've been writing that since 2010.
So over 10.
That's
Wow.
when I first started running. So the blog takes you on this journey with me from 2010 to today.
Right.
When I first started to do triathlons in 2014, and then, some events that I did. And
Really?
yeah, I mean, it was really, I did it as a way to inspire others in my situation to kind of get off the couch and do it. There's so many people that say, oh, I can't do that. I'm not doing that.
All right. Now don't be offended by my comment, but so you're writing this to inspire other people. You yourself were an admitted couch potato. So what I really like about this is you're more relatable. It's not like you're a former, college star or Olympic athlete. You're like everybody else. You're just a
Right.
common citizen. And now, all right. So you're writing this triathlete's diary. How often does your blog go out?
So both of them go out twice a week. So I do 2 times a week on each blog. So there's 4 days, and then the one day for the podcast.
So, okay, so this is the part where I really have to check myself here. So I've got this podcast, The Profit Express, obviously. I have a blog on my website. I'm not going to mention how frequently I do it. It's not to your standards. But all right, let's talk a little strategy now. Let's talk a little social strategy. So 2 blogs, twice a week, so it's 4 posts a week, okay? What would be that to me seems like a lot, but I'm always seeing you, so it's obviously working, and we'll talk about some of your success in a little bit, obviously. But what would be for somebody, let's say they want to go the route of a blog, okay? Talk about frequency.
I recommend at least once a week.
And so you're almost hinting at more than once a week, perhaps, but at least once. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because, there's so many blogs out there and so much content. You need to be able to be consistent and get that message out there that you're a consistent blogger and that
Really?
you're serious. At this point, like, I've been doing this for so many years that I get trips and I get free products and free sneaker, whatever I want, I pretty much get it to review
Sure.
it on my blog.
Are you
So
influencer? Are you an influencer in the triathlete world?
yeah, I would say so. I mean, yeah, I would say so.
Well, they're asking you to do reviews, so
I get it on both blogs though. I just got, I'm going to Steamboat, actually next January for a week to review a ranch out there. And I love to ski, so I figured, why not?
get out of here.
Get out there. Yeah, so I get those types of opportunities. Like I went to St. Croix, and they wanted me to race in this like ridiculously tough triathlon. So not prepared for it. I think they maybe thought that I was going to come in, like I was going to place. No.
All right.
Through it. I was. Yeah, so it was very, very hilly, but it was an amazing experience to go to St. Croix, and the tourism board there, they wanted me to write about them and to tell
Right.
people how great it was to go to the island, and so that's what I did, and I had a whole blog post, a whole bunch of blog posts on New York Lifestyle Blog. And then when I did the event, I did my event on a triathlete's diary. So sometimes they kind of come together.
So it's a little crossover. Okay. So then, really, so to be relevant, to develop to be a following, if you will, for people to kind of respect, your message and what you're saying, it really has to be once a week. So even once a month is not going to cut it.
No,
Really?
it's not. Yeah, no.
Okay. All right. So then obviously you're in the business with HJMT. You do the blogs, you have the podcast. Is one more effective than the other? Is it a combination? For somebody starting out, which direction should they go?
I believe it's a combination, but when somebody's starting out, I mean, I think it all starts with the why. Why are you doing this? You know,
Okay.
What do you want to get out of this?
Good question.
You know, for me, I ended up taking my blogs and my podcasts and starting a different business, completely set aside from my HJMT public relations business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is called HJMT Media. It's a media company. You know, I'm on Cision, I'm on Muckrack, I'm on all of the, you know, journalism type sites.
Okay.
And, you know, and I kind of separated it out, you know, so that there wouldn't be any conflicts, and I would be able to work with PR firms, and I do. I mean, most of my business comes from PR firms on the media side.
Really? Interesting. Okay. So it's a combination. Consistency is key. It's got to be once a week. All right. So now let's talk about. So this is I've been on LinkedIn. I'm very comfortable with it. I get some good interaction. I have a nice following, if you will, on Facebook. Again, Twitter. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I you know, whatever. And I just got on Instagram in part to promote the Profit Express.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, so a little confessional here?
Go for it.
Okay, so here we are. I'm going to open up and be authentic with Hilary Topper. So I literally signed up for my account on Instagram, let's call it 2 months ago. Never been on it, right? The first night that my account is up, my profile, I'm like, all right, I have to figure out what to do. And by the way, I went to the book. You have a chapter on it. I had to figure out some details. So I'm going through the feed, right? And obviously it's all video and pictures. And I felt like my parents. I'm like, I was so overwhelmed by this. I went to bed that night around midnight. I'm like wired. I can't fall asleep. I'm like, My wife Carrie's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I went on Instagram for the first time today. It's like, it was like completely overwhelmed. All right, so that passes. I take a deep breath. And you were one of the first people who followed me. Thank you very much. And I follow what you do. Now, okay, I'm not just trying to, you know, make you feel good about yourself. So I'm not a triathlete. I do run, but I certainly respect what you're doing there. And your posts, and by the way, you've been growing leaps and bounds, your numbers. You've been growing. You got some secret sauce over there. So you do a whole bunch of different videos. You do giveaways. Again, you get products. You're an influencer in the athletic, the performance world. And so I'm almost embarrassed to say, but again, I'm going to be authentic. Hilary, if you haven't seen it, what's your Instagram, Hilary?
At Hilary Topper.
At Hilary Topper. Hilary does a shoe of the day. Now, again, I promise I do not wear women's shoes. Okay, I do not. And if that's your thing, you know, that's fine. But I actually find it enjoyable. It's funny. It's like it's the pumps, it's the rubber galoshes you do, the cowboy boots you do, all these different things. And again, I don't wear women's shoes, but I just find it entertaining. It's funny. So I'm like, my God. And I think, honestly, Hilary, and I have to give you credit, seeing you do Instagram, a light bulb went off in my head. Now I really start to get it. And how you have fun and how you just let yourself out there. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I totally let myself out there.
What? All right, so give us now.
My newest thing, I didn't tell you this, my newest thing is thing of the day, right? It started with the Josh wine.
Okay.
I'm drinking Josh wine in Florida at a French restaurant. and I'm with my husband. And
Right.
I said, and I looked at him and I said, maybe I should do wine of the day. And he said to me, why don't you just do thing of the day? This way you could do anything.
That's right. That's a good idea, actually. So you're not just beholden to wine, right?
Yeah, exactly. So now that's my new thing. I mean, I'm still doing shoe of the day, and it's great because I'm at a juncture right now where I'm switching over my shoes. So I got to go in the closet, get all my summer shoes and my spring shoes out. So I have a whole new slew of shoes.
New season. Okay, new season of shoes by Hilary Topper. All right, listen. I know I have to ask the questions that the audience is asking in their head right now. How many shoes do you have?
Oh my God, I have a lot. I don't even know.
You got to give us a number. Your husband's not listening. Don't worry.
I can't even tell you how many shoes I have.
You can't, or you feel a little awkward giving the number.
A little awkward here.
All right, so you have a couple of pair of shoes, and they're broken up by seasons. Wow, that's pretty impressive. All right, so let's so again, honestly, following you on Instagram has literally been has been entertaining, but it's also taught me a lot. So what I'd like you to do now, all right, so for the listeners, share your strategy and some of the guidelines and the structure of how you can put together an Instagram account to help build a brand.
Well, I've been trying a lot of different things. And I think that when you start out, you've got to be very transparent and really try to connect with people. So what I've been doing is I will promote products and services. I will promote different events or runs that I've done. I'll do contests. I have like so much stuff to give away. So every Monday I've been doing a contest. And what I do is I start off with live, and I get some really crazy, funky comments from random people.
Yeah.
And I do a live video and
Right.
I show people what I've got, and then I post it with some just to scroll through. Like, I think people really like to scroll through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the strategies that I use on Instagram. And I also use we were talking about hashtags earlier, and it's not only about hashtags, but hashtags definitely help you grow your community, because there are people who follow certain hashtags.
And this is specifically in Instagram. Right. Okay.
On Instagram, you could see right away how many people followed a specific hashtag. So like CEO, there's, millions of people, the CEOs of Instagram, or you've got authors of Instagram or bloggers of Instagram. I mean, there's podcasters of Instagram. There's so many different ones, and you just have to explore and look for which ones resonate with you and which
Right.
ones have the highest amount of people that are following that hashtag. And that's how you start to grow your community. You also want to tell a story. Like, you just don't want to just post something without telling a story. And I see that a lot. Like, people just post a picture and you're like, okay, what is this? Sometimes it's a blurry picture, sometimes it's whatever. But tell a story, tell us what's going on in there. And I think the more you tell people what is happening in the picture, the more engagement you get, the more people follow you. So you've got that. I mean, so there's lots of different ways to do it. And you really have to think about what your strategy is and what type of people you want to follow you on this. For you, obviously, it would be the small business owner, the
Right.
CEO, the entrepreneur, so there's this whole slew of people out there who actually, follow those different hashtags. And those are the people to connect with. And then sometimes when I go on those hashtags, I'll just start commenting on other people, so that I also grow my community by commenting and following and talking and interacting with all these different people. They get to start following you. And good example, today I had a webinar with a running coach from Saskatchewan, Canada.
Right.
I said that right. And she was so good. I met her on Instagram.
Really?
It was like she randomly DM'd me.
Right.
We started talking, and we just started to get to know each other, and I found out that she's really an expert running coach. So she came on my my webinar today.
Really? So then, all right. So then, I know that the use of hashtags is certainly big on Instagram. And then, so the way that you can research who's following what is just putting, like you said, like hashtag CEO, and you'll see however millions of people, or, hashtag, brand building, for example, and you can see how popular it is or it isn't. And then you can kind of, so if you work your way into that community, following some of those people, and then also kind of, I guess, cross-pollination, commenting on their stuff, and that's how you've built your community.
You have to really work it. That's the only thing about Instagram, I guess, with all of these social networks.
Yeah.
You just got to work it, and that's I think the difference. You can't just think like, okay, maybe my business should go on Instagram, and then you put up like 2 or 3 posts and nobody's doing anything. I had actually a client like that who said, oh, I think we should go on Instagram.
Right.
And we started talking, and I'm trying to get from them, okay, what are you looking for? We're looking for new clients, blah, blah, blah. Okay. They go on Instagram and they have, like, I don't know, 50 followers, maybe, after a month. I mean, they're not.
And that's 4 more than me, but okay, just don't rub it in. Okay.
Anyway, so then after about a month, maybe 2 months, they said to me, you know what? Instagram doesn't work. Well, no, what are you talking about? You've got to give it time.
Right.
It could take a year.
Right.
It's a long time. It's not like a short-term thing, So that's one of the things about Instagram and any of these social networking sites, is that it really takes a lot of time, and you really got to cultivate those relationships.
Well, see, that again, so if you go back to the small business owner, right? They're intimidated because it's now, well, I got to do video, I got to do a podcast, I got to do a blog, right? I got to tell stories about myself. So there's embracing that, and there's embracing it on social. But then also, a lot, let's face it, you have to feed the beast. You have to be, as you said earlier, I mean, you got 2 blogs you're doing twice a week. That's 4 posts in blogging alone, not to mention the podcasts and everything else. But then again, the proof is in the pudding. Your numbers have been going up steadily for a long time now. Amazing.
I mean, and I think a lot of it has to do with the personality too. Like, you put up an amazing video with a couple of them that were really funny. That were really, really funny, and they should have gone viral, and they will. Like, you just have to keep doing it. But there's a guy that I know. He makes these shoes. They're called Zero shoes, and he's such a character, like total character. And they're, barefoot shoes. And the guy is so funny, and he keeps making these videos, and it's just like, people just love him. Like, they just want to get more, and so.
Wait, what's a barefoot shoe? I have to ask.
There's no. It's like going barefoot. There's no lift. Like most running shoes like have like a 4, 6, 8 millimeter lift from toe to heel.
Right.
And these are completely flat. They're Zero shoes. They're like completely flat.
Really?
Yeah, they're actually interesting shoes. They're good for the track.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And this episode of The Profit Express is brought to you by Corbett Public Relations, promoting and protecting businesses and brands for over 30 years. So make sure to visit them at corbettpr.com. That's CORBETTPR.com. So today is about building the brand for the business owner, the small business owner, which to me, honestly, Hilary, I think it's one of the biggest challenges that we face. It's not like advertising marketing was 20 years ago, where hey, you know what? What's the strategy? Give me a budget. I'll write a check and go do it. The way I'm seeing it And again, as the host of a podcast, I'm promoting my personality. Whether hopefully it helps me, I don't know. And you really have to be, even if you hire professionals such as yourself and such as your firm, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm missing something, but the business owner has to be involved. They must be involved now.
Yeah, I mean, yes, they definitely should be involved. And they also, this has been a big, shift also, is the influencer and influencer relations. And I've been finding that a lot of companies are hiring me to do like Instagram posts for them, so I get that as well. I mean, I get paid to, promote somebody's brand.
Right.
Because I have a certain amount of followers that they want to attract.
Right.
So there's that, like there's, so there's other ways to do it if you're really camera shy and, but for the most part, I think the better strategy for a small business owner is to really get out there and to be known.
So who would be a brand that, whether it's local or it's a national brand that you've noticed recently because of something that they've done on social that's, super creative, timely, somebody who's really getting it, like, who's doing a good job, it could be a good example. Does anything come to mind?
Well, the only thing, I mean, on Instagram, I follow a bunch of brands, but we're going to go on to TikTok now. I think.
All right, take me to TikTok. Let's go. Let's do it, Hilary.
TikTok is very, very creative and very, very funny. I have never laughed so hard when I scroll through TikTok.
Really?
It's just a crazy, crazy thing. Well, there's some brands that are doing amazing job, like Chipotle. Chipotle does incredible. They do like the funniest things with avocados and dancing avocados and, just different things. And then they get their community to post creative Chipotle videos.
Really?
Really interesting. So that's a little bit of a different twist. I mean, that's something that, bigger brands, they're trying to attract millennials and Gen Zers. Like Arby's, after Arby's, and there was another one. Oh, the cranberry guy. I don't know if you saw it. That guy.
Oh, on the skateboard.
Yeah, he was on a skateboard.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, from that, Cranapple, they decided that they have to be on TikTok, and they've been doing really creative things and then getting their community to do some creative things for them. So, so the bigger brands, I mean, you do have a little bit more flexibility when you have a lot more money.
Well, yeah.
For us little guys, I think I'd stick with Instagram.
So all right. Again, I'll share my ignorance. Obviously, I know about TikTok. Haven't been on it. Okay, maybe I'm a little afraid, scared to go on it. It is how would you describe TikTok to somebody who hasn't been on it, the small business owner?
Years ago, they had this this app to Twitter called Vine, and it was like a 10-15 second video clip. Well,
Right.
That's exactly what this is. It's a 15 to 30 second video clip
Right.
of people just doing hilarious things, but there's more to it. It's not just being hilarious. It's actually getting the brand's awareness out there, like NBA or the NBA does an amazing job on
Really?
you really get like an inside look at the players and their families and the back end of, the stadiums and all that kind of stuff. So, so there's a lot of interesting things you could do. And you could actually do that too on Instagram. I mean, there's no reason why you can't do that there as well. I mean, the more the more you get some kind of an emotion out of somebody, whether it's laughing or crying or, just joy, the more you're going to get that, interaction and people are going to really engage with you.
That's I'll probably put TikTok off for a while. I got to really get better at Instagram first. But it's funny because again, just speaking for myself as somebody like, listen, I host a podcast, in my job and what I do for Healy Success Solutions. I'm on the platform. I'm doing public speaking and training, right? Not that doesn't intimidate me. That doesn't scare me. I embrace it. I love it. But I tell you, and I think I can speak for a lot of small business owners, doing what you do, and I recognize the power of it, and I have to thank you. All right, I'm thanking you because you've been one of my bigger influencers in having me embrace this. Is just having fun with yourself and creating a relatability. And because I guess it's how I was brought up. It was always the veneer of the successful business person, and it was just like so staunch and so corporate, I guess. And that's how I kind of grew up in the ranks, and it just I think I'm finally shedding that, and it's a little scary, but it's liberating. I got to be honest,
Totally is. Totally.
So we've talked about, you have a very specific calendar of content you're putting out. You have the 2 blogs. You're an author as well. You're a podcaster. What do you enjoy doing more, writing or podcasting?
I think you asked me this the last time.
I think I might have. And I specifically, I know I did.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I really enjoy writing. I think maybe, I think the last time I said podcasting, but I think I really enjoy writing. I mean, that's just something that I've always done my entire life, like even from my earliest recollection of, when I was a young little girl, I used to journal, and I still have all these journals from way back when. So maybe one day I'll write a memoir.
Now, all right. So obviously, you have to be a prolific writer if you're doing two blogs a week. I mean, that's I'm sure some come easier than others. I'm sure you have to struggle over some. But recently you shared some very good news, and it was specifically in relation to A Triathlete's Diary, which is the blog that you've had for over a decade, which to me underscores why you're doing this and why the people who are listening to the podcast should be doing it too. So tell us that story, Hilary.
Yeah, so it actually stems from my SEO guy. My SEO guy says to me, Hilary, you gotta delete some of those stories on on your triathlon diary because there's too much out there.
Right.
Great. So I go, back to the beginning, that 2010, and I start taking off blog articles of when I started running, how it felt, how I was so miserable, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't sure, how am I running? Like, I don't get this. I don't understand this whole concept.
Right.
And running with a partner, and there was just so many really interesting experiences. I take them off and I start putting them into a Word document, and the next thing I know, I have 275 pages. So I'm like, wait a second, this is a book. So what I did, and it was funny because Lisa was real instrumental in helping me with this. So Lisa Gordon, who's been working for me for about 15 years, she's really my partner. And so anyway, so she said to me, let's target, let's talk to Cardinal Press and see if they would be interested in publishing your book. So I reached out to this guy, Thomas, and, he's a really nice guy. I've been reviewing a lot of their running triathlon books for years.
Right.
Having them on my podcast. People who I would never have on my podcast, I had on my podcast. Anyway, so the bottom line was I reached out to him and he said to me, I want you to reach out to the publisher. She's in Germany with Meyer and Meyer Sports. He said, because I think you've got a great narrative and a great story. And this is something that we've been really thinking about, to get more of these types of stories in our line of sports books. So I reached out to this woman, Liz, and we had a great conversation, and I sent her all of my information, and she said to me, you know what, Hilary, this is a great book. So anyway, this is the little caveat here is that the book doesn't end in 2020. The book ends in 2021. So what do? I put myself into two major events this year. One is a 5.5 mile swim across bay by around Fire Island. Okay, so that's coming up in not too long, maybe I think it's 16 weeks. So I better get my butt together to swim 5.5 miles.
5.5 miles?
5.5 miles. Plus, I need a kayaker to stay with me. Now, my son's volunteered, but I'm like a little bit nervous because he's never kayaked more than like 20 minutes. Plus, if I drown, he's got to save me. So
you hope, right? Yeah.
That could make a good story, though.
Bestseller, right?
And then the second event that I signed up for is a half Ironman event, which I've never done. I've signed up for it 3 other times in my triathlon career, and just for one reason or another, it did not work out.
Okay.
So I am going down to North Carolina in October, and I'm going to swim 1.5 miles. Then I'm going to jump on my bike and do a 56-mile ride. And then I'm going to do a half marathon all in one day. No breaks, just straight.
All right. So for those who don't know all the exact numbers of a half Ironman, 1.5 mile swim, 56-mile bike ride, and then a half marathon, which is 13.1. Okay. Wow.
Yep.
It just got serious, Hilary.
Got serious. So I have 2 major events coming up.
I don't know if you have time for podcasts like this. You better be out there training. I mean, I tell you. Wow. So your SEO guy says you can't have all this content on the site. You got to clean it up. You start to organize all these great articles and posts you've had for over a decade. And you said, holy cow, I got a book. And not only do you think you have a book, but then you go to so publishers in the sports arena, and they say yes. And now you got a book deal. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
But you know what? So that to me underscores everything that you've been telling me for years. Because you've been telling me this. It's not like all of a sudden Hilary has just, because you and I go back quite a few years, and we've had lunches together, and you've been sharing this with me. And I have to be honest, when you first started really sharing about, this is what I'm doing, Hilary, I respect you. I'm like, what is she doing? I didn't get it. I have to be honest, and it's paying dividends.
It's definitely paying dividends. And you know what? Most of my business is a direct correlation to the triathlons.
Well, listen, there's people who are affluent, they're business owners, they're executives. You start chatting at an event, they know you, they read your blog. Oh, Hilary's fun. Wow, she did that, right? Bop. There you go.
I just had a dentist reach out to me today. Oh, I've been following you, and
really? Well, now, is he also a triathlete, or
Yeah.
He is? Okay, all right. My goodness. So then, all right. Let me ask you. So we talked about, because I'm always interested in frequency. So, if you have a blog, you got to do it once a week to be relevant. Instagram. How often are you posting on Instagram?
every day.
Every day.
Every day. You got to post at least once a day.
Are you doing videos every day?
No, what I like to do is change it up. So I sometimes do a video and I sometimes do a post, or I do, a series of posts, or I do a
Right.
story. Stories are great and they definitely help you as well. So I would definitely recommend them.
Describe the story feature on Instagram. I know Twitter has it as well. I think they all have it, but describe that for me if you could.
Yeah, so it's just a very short clip
Mm-hmm.
and it lasts for 24 hours. So what makes it relevant is that it is relevant. Like if you don't watch it, you miss it. So people watch it. So you get a lot of people watching those videos or those posts or looking through them because it just makes it more relevant, that it's timely, that disappears.
Okay, so the draw on that is people know that it's timed out. So that and it could be a post, it could be a picture, it could be video, and then so it'll encourage them to see it because they know it'll be gone tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's your favorite feature on your Instagram account that you produce that you do?
I like Reels. Reels is more like TikTok.
Okay.
And it's like 15 to 30-second clip. It's short enough so that you can get through it. Sometimes with the Instagram Live, I just keep talking and talking and talking. It's like, I get bored with myself. I say, you know what? Enough. Okay, I'm cut out of this.
I'm done. Right.
Really. But no, Reels is good because it's really short, and that's where I do my shoe of the day or my thing of the day, or if I have something that I just want to promote or talk about really quick,
Mm-hmm.
like a snippet of time, and that lives on your feed. So that's kind of cool.
With Reels, so it's obviously different than story. Okay, great. What's the upcoming shoe? What's the next shoe that can you give us a little sneak, a little something, a little teaser on the shoe?
Oh boy, you're putting me in a really tough situation over here, Tim. I think you guys are just gonna have to follow me if you're interested.
And that's at Hilary Topper on Instagram, and at the Profit Express on Instagram. I'm going to take a complete left turn with you right now. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. You're a business owner. You've been in public relations, marketing, social for many years. Created a successful business. I do like to ask this. It's outside of social media and branding, which we've been talking about today with my guest today, Hilary Topper, HJMT Public Relations. As a business owner, if you had a do-over, what would it be?
As a business owner, if I had to do it over again, I probably. Oh, this is a really tough question.
That's why I save it for the end. I warm you up first. That's how it goes.
Yeah. I probably would have rethought a lot of the things that I had done, like when we were making a ton of money at one point, and I was just taking my staff on elaborate trips and experiences, and I think I would have cut back a little bit on that.
Okay.
Because I think in the end, it didn't really pay off for me. It didn't make people. It didn't give that loyalty out there. So for me,
right.
But the loyalty came with me being really transparent with them and, helping them grow and motivate them to succeed. And, I'm just grateful that I had such great people working for me. And
Sure.
most of them went on to amazing jobs and stuff. So I'm really happy for that. But I think if I were to do it over again, I think I would have done less of that crazy, let's take them to a spa for a weekend type
Right.
And, held back a little bit. I think that probably would have been a better route to take.
So it's interesting. So then you're saying, you're kind of tempted to do the big, fun, splashy things, which, hey, a lot of us do. It's fun. But then, much like your branding, you found that being authentic about who you are, your business, and what you're looking to achieve and how you can help them in their careers is really what kind of created the loyalty.
It absolutely did. And it absolutely drove them to succeed and to, to stay with me for a few years and move on and, keep going. I mean, I'm very blessed to have Lisa in my life, and she's been with me for about 15 years now. And when she started, she was like 22. So now
Well,
she's kids.
listen, if she's with you for 15 years, it's a reflection on you, obviously, But I can. Lisa's a rock star. She's great. I can say that. I'm really looking forward to that book coming out. You got to keep us all up to date on that. The most recent one, which I think is a great. Let me do it this way: Branding in a Digital World. Your most recent book came out last year. Great reference guide, and I am quoted a little bit in the podcast world, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. People, following you. I mean, you have so many followers, you don't need any more. But if they're interested in following you and what you're doing, how can they connect?
So they could go to @Hilary Topper on Instagram, @Hilary Topper on Facebook. I'm on every platform. The only platform that I don't use Hilary Topper is Instagram, because I started that. That was my first one that I started, and I think that was like 2005. And at that point, I went on as Hilary25.
On Instagram or no?
No, Twitter.
Twitter, yes. Okay, on Twitter, awesome. As always, it's a blast to have you on. You're a great example for small business owners out there as far as embracing what it is to have a brand and incorporating social media. Always a blast, lots of great ideas. Thank you so much for being on board today.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate you having me.
And remember, each and every Wednesday we drop new episodes of The Profit Express. Follow us on Instagram @The Profit Express. And you can also follow me on Twitter @Profit_Express and the Facebook page, The Profit Express. Thank you so much.